This edition of MacVoices is sponsored by lynda.com, the unparalleled online video training library. For a free 10-day unlimited trial, visit lynda.com/MacVoices. Hi, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices at WWDC and the Alt Conference in San Francisco. I'm here with Jacob of Apparent Software to talk about what he's doing here and what his app is and a little bit of everything. Good to see you, Jacob.
Thank you.
So what does Apparent Software make?
Well, we do Mac applications for several years now, actually started in 2006, and we have 3 applications in the stores. One is called Image Framer. It adds frames either like for photographers or for artists if you want like real wooden frames around your paintings or your art. It's very kind of versatile. The other one is a personal finance application called Cashculator. It's in a way more focused on looking into the future of your financial situation, get a high-level overview, and try different what-if scenarios. So this is what makes it different from most other personal finance applications. And the third one is a utility called Trickster, and it gives access to your most recently used or modified files on your system. Again, very customizable and saves you time basically looking for files in the Finder.
The first one and the last one make complete sense. They're pretty obvious why they would be useful. I'm intrigued though why you decided to put a personal finance manager in an iOS app.
As a Mac app.
Oh, it is a Mac app.
Yeah, these are all Mac applications. All 3 of them are Mac applications.
These are all Mac applications. So what are the challenges of creating a personal finance manager? Because are you trying to track and project, or are you giving any financial advice?
We're not giving financial advice, but we give you tools to decide. Basically, when we were researching the market for the application, we were looking at what there already was, and most of the applications seems to be more focused on the tracking, day-to-day tracking of your finances. Logging to the bank and maybe and downloading your data. And what we wanted is to have something that looked like a spreadsheet, for example, where you have months as your columns, and your categories as your rows, and you could see very high-level overview of your financial situation. In addition, it looks into the future, so you can have recurring transactions going on, and though it builds your projected balance into the maybe years ahead if you want to. And then we have what-if scenarios, so you can create a base plan scenario, and then you can duplicate this and modify. So, for example, if you're expecting changes in the family, for example, or you plan business changes, right? And then you have, maybe it will be like that, maybe I have better income or lower income or more expenses. So you can create these different scenarios and then compare them in a graphical form and see your projected balance, your projected income and expenses over the future. So in my case, for example, when I moved from data job to being an indie developer full-time, we wanted to see how much of our savings, like for how long we would have that. So we projected our plan for our current situation. For example, I saw that I'd have money saved for a year's life, right? And then as time goes, I update with the real data, so we can track both the plan and the actual data independently, and project it again into the future. And then we see, okay, so like if I'm doing well, right, I'm still having this year or maybe more now if I'm going better. So this is the kind of feedback I like the most from other people, where they say, we didn't know where our money was going, and so we used the application, or the same, I changed business decisions and I wanted to see how it was. So these kind of situations, it's a very valuable tool.
I like the fact that you're giving me some projections as opposed to just tracking. I think tracking is fine because you want to know where your money is going. But if you don't have any help in using some of that information like you're providing, then it's just telling you where your money is going.
Right. So you can also use Cashculator for that as well. But this is not what we want people to use it for. So some people even use it in addition to the current tool that they use, maybe to track the data from the bank and their other accounts. And use Cashculator for this more high-level planning and seeing how they think it will be in the future. Right? This is where its power comes from. even though you could use it for both, but not for, it's not for accounting. So it's not for accounting. It doesn't replace, QuickBooks, for example.
The application you mentioned that gathers up recently used documents and all, I want you to talk a little bit about that, because we already have that to a very limited degree in the Finder, built in with recent items, recent apps, but you take it to a couple levels up.
Yes, we do. So in the Finder, we get this in the menu. It's in the Apple menu. First of all, not a lot of people know about it. The other limitations is that it gives you just 10 files. You can't drag it. You can just click to open them with the default applications, and you have no control whatsoever over what it shows there, and no keyboard access to that as well. So Trickster is different because, first of all, you select which folders you want to track, so it wouldn't track what you don't want to. Second of all, it's very keyboard friendly, so it's one hotkey or a mouse click in the menu bar, and you get again the reverse chronological order of your files. From there, you can either drag as you would from a Finder, so you can drag from any other application. Trickster can stay on top if you want, for example, or it can auto hide when you're moving out, so you can drop over applications that are behind it. And at the same time, it's very keyboard friendly. It has search capabilities. It has filtering capabilities. So if you want just to see files that change on Dropbox, for example, or only documents or only applications, you can flag files if you want for access, like files you access frequently. And it has even a sidebar which you can drag files onto, for your favorite destinations, like folders, so you can quickly sort files. For example, you downloaded something and you want to sort it quickly to some specific folder or launch it with a specific application. You can just drag to this application on the sidebar. But you have access to more tools, like moving it to Evernote, for example, if you have Evernote installed, or accessing services. So basically, all the tools you get with Finder, but without opening the Finder, and just your recent files right there waiting for you.
Yeah. It sounds like it's almost more of a file management application as much as just gathering up recently used things.
It could be, but again, I think the most common scenarios are for people who work with files, like people who are designers or working with other documents. It also tracks files for the download, for example, that you don't even have to open the file, but if it was modified even by application running in the background, it will show up. So for example, again, if you download something in Safari and you're waiting for it, right? And then when it's done, you hit the hotkey, it's on the top, you can drag it from there, or double-click to unzip it, for example. And then it will show the created folder unzipped in the same location. You can click it and it will open it in Finder. So it's a much quicker way accessing, again, without searching in Finder too much, right? Because every so often you usually want to access the files that you've been working recently, especially again if you're a designer. So, for example, you export something from Photoshop or Sketch or something, and you've got a lot of files, and then you want to maybe to move them to your to email or to send them to your to your clients or your coworkers. And again, you have all this access there without opening the desktop or going to Finder. It's very convenient for them.
Your stable of apps is very interesting to me because you don't specialize in any one area. You have a graphics app, you have a personal finance app, and then you have something that is a file utility management kind of app. Why are you so diverse? Is that intentional, or is it just you have an idea and go with it?
I think in 2009, when we only had the framing application at that time, and my partner and I, we did some thinking, and it was a strategic decision. So we didn't want to keep all our eggs in one basket in the same field. Today, I'm not sure if it was the best decision, right? Because there is value when you market, when you have one niche that you market to, because you have better resale opportunities for the same customer base. So I don't know if looking today back, in hindsight, if we do the same decision, but this is how things are now, and we're happy with it. We were even more diverse. We had several years ago, we bought the application called Socialite from Real Mac Software, which was a social networking client. Again, this is a completely different niche. So yeah, we try different niches. It's also interesting to see how different niches, which ones work better and which work worse. So maybe in the future we might maybe focus on specific. So for example, our current plans is to focus on the Cashculator application, and we are working on an upgrade to this based on the years of feedback we've got from users, and because people do find a lot of value in it, but there are some limitations that were based in our understanding of the financial sector in 2009 when we developed it. So it's quite an old application, and we see the value. People like it. So the basics work, and we want it to get just better based on the feedback.
So what, as a developer, for the products you have and the products you might have in mind, what was the most exciting thing from the Apple keynote?
It might sound strange, but maybe the most exciting thing was that there were no major changes on the OS X, because we in the previous years we had to spend quite a lot of time just chasing Apple with their changes, and their yearly changes have become quite a drag on our productivity, especially so with the Yosemite redesign and with sandboxing a couple of years ago. This was a lot of work, and I think all the developers can relate to that.
I've heard that a number of times. It's like, okay, we get to have a summer to ourselves a little bit just to fine-tune things and maybe work on some new ideas, as opposed to just trying to play catch-up and address all the new features that Apple suddenly dropped on them.
Exactly, yeah. So a lot of developers were expecting a kind of a snow leopard release for this year, especially because of some performance issues in Yosemite and some UI kind of stuff. So it's good to see them focusing on the fundamentals again. They have some. We'll probably have to see how stuff works with their new full screen support and the split screen support. And we'll see how it goes. Maybe we'll have to do some changes, but it doesn't appear to be a lot of work this year to be up to date with Apple's new technologies.
That's good. So maybe you can put some new ideas on the plate and start to work on them.
Yeah, or release the new update to Cashculator faster.
Are your apps in the Mac App Store?
Our applications are both on the Mac App Store and direct on our own store, because we started way before Mac App Store was introduced, and it's always good to have the option. I think for our customers, it's easier to do promotions, it's easier to do upgrades, and easier to participate in bundles, and just different people have different I think preferences for how they want to buy, and we see our sales pretty much split between the two.
And your website is?
Our website is apparentsoft.com.
Thank you so much for talking to us and sharing some of the information. It's always interesting to see how developers are thinking and what they're doing. So hopefully we'll see you back here next year.
I hope so. Thank you, Chuck, for having me.
Folks, more from San Francisco, AltConf and WWDC. I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. Visit MacVoices.com for links, show notes, to subscribe, to connect with Chuck on Twitter, Google+, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and the MacVoices blog. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter, the MacVoices Dispatch, to stay up to date on all the latest MacVoices news from our front page or at macvoices.com/newsletter. Do more with your Apple tech by subscribing to the free MacVoices magazine on Flipboard by visiting macvoices.com/magazine. Advertising and sponsorships handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.